As we wait for others to join in, if the last session was a little bit confusing and you got lost, don't worry, I got you. So I did create a series. If you go to somastories.app, if you go to books, excuse me, if you go to books, you are going to look for this series. It's called Self-Taught Computer Science. You'll click on it. So I'll be sharing most of the notes on this collection. So far I've uploaded the algorithmic thinking, which I figured some people had a challenge with that session. So I have included the code samples. I think I pretty much included everything we discussed except the session where we talked about if statements, loops, and lists. So for this, you'll have to refer back to the video, but everything else is here, including the examples that we looked at. So this will serve as, like your reference point. So there's no need for notes and anything. Samuel, after class 6, you will skip to class 8. Class 7 is what we called first class. It kind of messed up with the order. So after class 6, you're going to skip to class 8. But you can also be part of this class because we are not really going to look at so much code today. We're going to look at something totally different. Okay, it's code related, but a little bit different. So I've also tried to include some of the photos and examples that we looked at. And of course, this is a member-only article, so you'll have to register or sign in for you to get access to the entire article. So I've also included some notes from this class, but it's just a draft as chapter 2. So chapter 2, you'll find this CLIs, Git, and GitHub, which contains notes that we'll look at in this class, minus the practical bit. Of course, we're going to type some commands here that are not in the article. But later you can just go through the article once I'm done. It's still in draft. I haven't really reviewed it yet. Yeah, so most of the notes will be stored under this series. So far I haven't really included an option to follow the author, but if you follow the author, anytime they post, you'll get a notification. I think I need to include that somewhere on this screen, but that's a story for another day. Yeah, if you've tried accessing the page, you'll realize that the user interface is a little bit different now. So I got some little time on my hand and I decided to make some changes. So you guys can let me know down in the comments if you do, if you do like the new interface. I don't think there's much. It's just that the hero, this is what you call the hero page, but other people say the home page. And there's a whole course, by the way, on how to design your page here. There are also a couple of videos that explain that, but this is what you call, some people say the landing page, some say, the hero section or the hero page. And I've also done some changes in the about section. So there's a whole course in computer science called user experience, user design. It's called UX UI. Some people charge a lot of money for to teach you UX UI, but we are going to look at UX UI for free in this course. So what UX UI basically is, it's how to design websites or how to make websites stand out. You don't want to just design a website that looks like any other website. If you go to Google right now and you search a website landing page templates, okay, so you'll do that. Which one should we go with? We can just pick something like this, and then so you don't want to design something that it looks like any other website. As you can see, from this one to this one, it looks like it was designed, it's the same person who designed the landing page. This is a little bit different. We got something different. We have things like this. So there's an entire course called user experience or user interface. We'll tackle all that in this course. So Benjamin Wasonga, the platform is primarily free, especially for stories that are free. So for this piece right here, you can access it for free. You just have to sign up so that at least you can track what you've already read under one platform. But it's free. This one is free. You can just read it for free. Mwas, we are waiting for you. Now we can continue. All right. So in this session, we are not going to look at user experience or user interfaces. That was just, a little taste of what is to come. So we are going to look at CLIs, Git, and GitHub. And it's obviously going to be a heavy class, but I'll try to go as slow as I can. My only ask is let me just open my notes here. Oh my goodness, did I? Okay. All right. So my only ask is that we try to pay attention, put all distractions aside, put your phone in silent mode or on airplane mode if you don't have anything urgent coming up. If you're somewhere where there's noise, you might want to go somewhere where, there's some little bit quiet, if you can, of course. And of course, coffee. Yeah, lemon tea. Okay, yeah, I'm taking lemon tea today. No coffee, because I want to go as slow as I can. I realize I take coffee and then I get dopamine and then I start and then you guys get lost. So let's solve that. Kenneth Kiari Mwangi, how are you, sir? Sam Delta, welcome. So to start our lesson today, in an operating system, and remember we talked about operating systems. We said operating systems are like Windows 10, Windows 11, Windows 7 for those who still use Windows 7, Linux, Mac OS. Those are what we call operating systems. Or an operating system in short is your entry point, to your computer. So when you switch on your computer, you don't open Chrome or WhatsApp or, Microsoft Word directly. First, you log into your computer, so you are interacting with the operating system. And then now, while inside the operating system, you can launch other applications like Chrome, browser, VLC, games if you play games, and so on and so forth. Yeah, Benjamin, that is discussed in the article I've said. You can find it here. I think it's somewhere here, logarithmic time. Where is it? This must be binary search. And then if you scroll down towards the end, there's logarithmic time somewhere in there. Yes. So now, when you talk about an operating system stores information into what we can call addresses. Okay, an operating system, a path in an operating system, a path is the specific address of a file or a folder. Just as like when you use GPS, we say go to this building, this street, find the shop there. So computers also need addresses to know exactly what they have to do when you give them commands. Okay, so when you have a computer and you are working on a file and somebody asks you, hey, where is this file? You tell them, hey, it's in the desktop, or go to your downloads folder. So what you just did there is you provided the address of that specific file or the specific folder that you want that person to access. So in Windows operating system, we have the C drive, and let's just shift to the Windows so that we can see what you're talking about. Let me see, anything distracting here? Okay, can't really. Okay, so if you open this PC, you'll see we have quite a lot of, quite a lot going on here. But I want you to look for the file called local disk C. And like I said, if you're in this class, don't try to like do the practicals as I'm teaching, you might get lost. The best way to do this is to just go through the video, through the session, just get a general understanding of what is happening, and then you can go through the video later as you practice, or you can read the notes as you practice. That way is so much easier for you. Oh, Sam, let me zoom in. Now I'm trying to zoom in, but I ended up missing things. What have I done? Oh my goodness. I need to change this to what it was. Okay, let's work with it this way. So thank you. So this is what we are interested in, this thing called local disk C. So if we open local disk C, you'll see we have quite a few files in here. We have program files, x86, we have program data, and so on and so forth, and we have the users folder here. Okay, so these folders are arranged in a tree-like hierarchy. Okay, going from the first folder, which is what you call the C folder, as you can see here, to folders like program files, program data, and the users folder. So as you open folders, you'll realize there are other folders inside those folders. Those are what you call subfolders. So if I tell you go to your home directory, your home directory is the directory that has the user you're currently logged in. So if I come to my Windows down here and I see this user called Mbadi, and somebody asks me go to your home directory, so this is what they mean. I'll look for local disk C right here. Inside it, I will open the users directory. Inside the users directory, I'm going to open this directory called Mbadi, and this is what you call my home directory. Okay, so when you're working with Windows, the natural, not natural way, the most common way, like for example, when you open your computer, the first folder or the first thing that you see is your desktop. Now your desktop is right here. This is the first thing you see, and as you can see here, the same contents available here, we can also see them in our desktop. So when you open your computer, this is the first folder that will open, the desktop folder. However, when you open the CMD, and I need you to pay attention here, when you open the CMD, it does not open the desktop. So let's just give that a try and see. CMD, then we zoom in. So as you can see, CMD by default opens your users folder, the one we just accessed, C users Mbadi. It opens the home directory of the user you're logged in as. Now this is called the home directory, but when you are running commands, if I say for example dir, yeah, I'm zooming in with control and then scrolling the mouse wheel. So if I type dir, we say that we are working inside our working directory. So this becomes our working directory. Okay, so remember, when you open CMD at first, it opens your home directory, which you can also, where you're running your commands at that particular moment, is called your working directory. So here I can change my directory. For example, let me see the contents in my home directory, and we have all these. So I want to change into the videos directory. So here I'll see CD, and then I'll say videos, and now I have videos attached here. So this no longer becomes my home directory, because we are not in the users directory, in the directory belonging to the user I'm currently logged in. We are in the videos directory. So this becomes my working directory. So everything I do here, I'm doing it inside my working directory. So your working directory can be anything. It can be videos, it can be 8 hours course, but your home directory is only one, and that is immediately you see users, and then you see a name, that is your home directory. You'll hear me refer to that a few times. So that is just something small about users and home and working directory. So as an engineer, you need to know exactly the applications you're running, where they are stored in. This is also what you call the executor or the launcher, but don't worry about those two words, they'll just confuse you. And we have an example here. So normally if you want to open like Chrome browser, if you want to open Chrome browser, you'll just come here, look for Chrome browser. I don't have Chrome browser, I have Firefox. So you'll just come here and double click on that. Of course it has a stupid update that it has to do. All right, and Firefox browser is open. Okay, but as an engineer, you need to know exactly where this application is located. So to do that, you can just right click on it, and then you go to open file location, and then inside, and I have to keep track of my my structure here. Okay, I think I'm not losing you guys, we are together. So as you can see, the Firefox, this is what you call a shortcut, is on the desktop, but the application itself is inside local disk C, program files, Mozilla Firefox. And here I can just open Firefox the same way I've opened it using the desktop. Okay, so I'll close it once again. And here somebody might give you an exercise and tell you, I want you to open what can we open here? I want you to open this application called CorelDRAW, but don't do it using the desktop icon. Don't do that. Okay, I want you to open it using the path. Okay, so what that person is asking you to do is to go to local disk C, which is the root of your Windows operating system, and then inside C we are going to look for this application right here. Okay, as a matter of fact, let me just expand this and zoom in a little bit, like so. So we want to open that application called Corel, but you want to do it from here, not the desktop, the desktop, sorry. So what are we going to do? We are going to go to, we will start with program files and see if it's there. So you'll start with program files and look for Corel. So we are looking for Corel. So we can see Corel here. And then inside we can see a few other folders. Let me just zoom in. I keep forgetting to zoom in. So we can see other folders inside Corel, and let's open this one. And then we can also see there's another folder called 25. Let's open it. More folders. Where is it? You're looking for Corel. So sometimes you get to this part and you don't know exactly which folder to open. So here you can look for the folder called setup, this one right here. And then inside we can see a few files, but what you're interested in is something that ends with .exe. Something that ends with .exe means that is the executable. That means it's an application, in short. It means it's an application. So let's run this setup.exe. We'll say yes. Yeah, it's opening, but it's installing Corel instead of opening the actual application we have. Okay, so if you want to look for the actual application inside your local disk C, if this method does not work, you know, like right now it has not worked for us, all you have to do is you can just come to the desktop icon, you right click on it, and then go to open file location. This is public desktop. This is not the actual file, it's just a shortcut. So we are going to click on it again and open file location, and it's not there. Okay, so we've hit a you know, like a brick wall here. We cannot open it using desktop because the instruction was we shouldn't do that. We have to open it using the file manager. So remember earlier we went into program files. Let's try and go into program files x86. So we'll go into program files x86, and inside Corel we can open inside, and here we have CUH, and then we have V2. I don't even know what that is. There's a bunch of files in here, but this doesn't look like Corel. Okay, this doesn't look like Corel, so it's not what you're looking for. Let's try x64. Again, this doesn't look like Corel. Okay, so the one thing important to note there is that of course when you're working with an application that another engineer has already built, it's very hard to like work with it from an engineer, from a software engineer perspective, in that you want to mess around with it, and that becomes very hard. But some are pretty straightforward. Like we've seen Firefox, you can just go to program files and open it. Something like Adobe, let's see if we can do the same with Adobe Photoshop. So we'll go to this PC, we'll go to local disk C, and then inside local disk C, we are going to go to program files, Adobe, and then we have Photoshop here, we have Premiere Pro here. So let's try to open it from here. It opens another file. We can see convert.exe. We have a few other files. Let's try to open this photoshop.exe. So we'll click on that. I hope I have enough resource. I have enough RAM. Okay, and now Adobe Photoshop is working. It's a pretty heavy software, by the way. It takes a few minutes to launch. So we've opened Adobe Photoshop using the file manager, not the desktop icon. So we'll just close it. But what if we want to open it using CMD? We don't want to open it using here or the desktop. So what you can do, we can copy this path. By the way, I don't know if this will work. I'm just doing my own things here. We can copy this path. So I'll right click, I'll say copy, and then I'll open my CMD. And then inside CMD, let me just zoom in. I'm going to paste. Oh my goodness, I cannot paste. So I have to find this path. Oh Lord. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can do that. So I'll go to CMD. Let me refer to the documentation, see if there's a way to open it. What are you doing? What are you doing? Alright, I had accidentally turned on. Oh, tab and right click. Let's see. Tab and right click. Oh my goodness, it's doing its own things. Coco Bobo, are you trying to hack me? I'm just kidding. Yeah, so let's just look for the path, because for some reason, if I do copy and I come to my terminal, if I right click, oh, isn't that what I was doing? Anyway, I'll just hit enter. Program is not recognized as an internal, blah 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 blah. But how about if you put quotation marks on it? So let's put quotation marks like so. Oh my goodness, there is that one. You don't want it. So it's saying Adobe Photoshop is not recognized as an internal or external command. But why? Why? Let's see. What is it I'm missing? Oh no, I'm not running the actual the actual application. The actual application is this one, photoshop.exe. So let's try that command one more time, and then we put this there, and then we say we want to open photoshop.exe. We hit enter. Nothing happens. There is no error, there is nothing, but our application is launching. As you can see, our application is right here. Okay, magic. Okay, so this is important because it helps you understand the concept of paths. Okay, and there are two things. Oh, I keep doing CL. There are two things so far very important you need to pay attention to. Number one is your home directory. And your home directory, the easiest way to identify your home directory is just look for C and then users and then the name of the person, or the name, or if you have several users, you can just change the name here and then paste the name of the person you want to see their home directory. Let me just expand this so that we only have CMD here. Okay, so this is what you call your home directory. Now wherever you're running your commands is what we call your working directory. Your home directory can be your working directory if you're working inside your home directory, but if you're working inside another directory, we can say that is your working directory. So like for example here I've said let's see what the contents of this directory are. And as you can see, we have downloads, favorites, links, embody from GUI. We can get this one. For example, we can change our working directory into this one right here. And to do that, you just do cd embody from GUI, and then we clear our screen. So now this becomes your working directory. Okay, now to refer to your working directory, you can use two things. Number one, you can use what you call absolute paths, okay? And number two, you can use what you call relative paths. So a relative path is the path to whatever you're trying to look for from where you are or from your working directory, okay? So if let's check the contents of this directory right now, and we do not have anything inside here. So let's create a directory. So let's say mkdir, we say 8 hours. Okay, clear our screen. So if I do dir right now, oh yeah, I was reading the comments. Before I proceed, who is lost? Who is lost? Okay. Changa, we will look at that in a second. How to go back to your home directory. Okay, I'm assuming we are together. Okay, and we have, the speed is okay. So far what we've done, we've created a directory, and I need to just indicate here what we've learned so far. Let me just copy this. So far we've talked about the home directory, which you've said it's just C, that, and then users, and then username. So that becomes your home directory. And you've talked about your working directory. Okay, directory. And you've said the working directory can be anything. And at the moment, we are talking about relative path and absolute path. Okay. Sam Delta, I think now we are together after explaining this. So we've talked about the home directory and the working directory. Now we are going to talk about relative paths and absolute paths. So back to our Windows. So right now we are inside our working directory. This is not our home directory. Okay, we are inside our working directory, which is embody from GUI, but the working directory is inside our home directory. And Windows uses these things to show the directory where like this shows the directory. Okay, so we have this, we have that, and then we have that. Okay, so let me just cd back, so I'll do cd /, and then I'll do cd again /, and then /. Okay, so what does this cd /, means? /, means go back to the directory I was before. So let me just clear everything and CLS. Oh my god, I keep forgetting. So right now we are not inside the home directory, but we are inside what we can call a working directory. Okay, so where you are currently is what you call your working directory, regardless of where it is. Is it your home directory? Is it your downloads? Is it your videos? Doesn't matter. Where you are is your working directory. So here we are not inside our home directory. We are just inside our working directory. Okay, so let's say, for example, I want to create a folder here called 8 hours. So I'll do mkdir 8 hours. Okay, now say I want to refer to that 8 hours. Okay, I want to do something inside it, like for example create a file. or create another directory. So if I say mkdir and then I say I want to create a directory inside the 8 hours, so I'll say directory inside 8 hours, okay, and hit enter, and then we'll do dir to see the contents of our directory. So I'll do dir, and then let me just zoom out. So here I can see we have the directory inside 8 hours directory, okay, but that is the problem. We don't want it here, we want it inside here. So if you go to your file manager right now, let me go to my file manager, so this PC, and then I'll go inside C. Inside C, I can see we created that directory called dir inside 8 hours, okay, but we don't want it here, we want it inside here, okay. So if you're working with this interface, you can just drag it and drop it there, problem solved. But you know, engineers, we like to have problems, we don't like to have small problems in life, okay. So we have to do this, the act of dragging it here, but using CMD. So what do we do? Number one, to do that, we need two things. We need the target directory, and then we need whatever directory we are trying to move into that target directory, okay. So the action of moving requires you to know a command to do that. Now the issue with commands is don't try to cram them. Don't try to cram the commands, just Google. If you want to know what a command does, Google. But if you remember something in your head, for example, I do remember MV, which stands for move. And as I can see here, move is not recognized as an internal external command, okay? So that is not recognized. So what do we do? So while we are inside here and we want to move this inside here, we can just go to Google and Google the move command. Move a file in CMD. And as I can see, the basic syntax for move command is move source destination, okay. So let's just copy this and go to our CMD, and I'm going to split my screen. So I'm going to have this on the right. If you have a small screen, I am very sorry, I do not know how else to do this, or I can just do this. Let me split it top to bottom, and then I want to have this somewhere here. All right, is that display okay to everybody? All right, so we have our notepad there. So we'll copy and paste. Let me just zoom in. Oh my goodness, am I zooming in? Or so this is what we need for the move command to work. Oh, I'm using CMD, I'm not using Git. We haven't gotten to that part yet. So what do we want to do? Inside our directory, let's just go to file manager. So inside local disk C, we have this file called directory inside 8 hours. But we want to move this directory into this directory, okay? And according to the command, we need the source, which is this directory, and we need the destination, which is this directory. There are two ways you can do that. Number one, you can use the absolute path, okay? And the absolute path means the path from C. That is basically what it means. If you see a path that starts with C, that is the absolute path. So let's get the absolute path for this. So we'll do that. And then at the top here, we are going to click and then we copy. And then we say, this is the source right here, okay? That is the source. Okay, I think I need to copy and paste it somewhere else. So we'll say our command is move, and then we have the source here. This is the source, and then we need to find the destination. So what is the destination? So we can come back to local disk C, and then we go to 8 hours because this is where we want to move it into, and then we copy it here. We copy it, and then here we come and add it to the destination side. Okay, so now what do we have? We have the command, we have the source right here, and then we have the destination right here. I think I need to annotate with a different tool, or at least with a different color. So let me just do this, and then pick green. Green looks better. So we have the command, we have the source, and then we have the destination. Who's lost? Okay, so to run this command on Windows, we can just come to CMD, we clear, and then we say move. I think I can just copy paste. Let me just do that. So here I will copy the entire command like so, and then oh, I have moved twice. I need to keep one. All right. So it says one directory moved. So let's go to File Manager and see if that directory indeed has been moved. And as you can see inside your File Manager, the directory 8 hours inside 8 hours, directory inside 8 hours has been moved into the directory 8 hours. Now let's do the same, but inside a whole new directory. Okay. So in fact, we are going to do it here, and then we do it in the terminal. So we'll come to local disk C, we go into users, inside Mbadi, inside desktop. Now here we are going to create a directory. So let's right click, we say new folder, and then we're going to give it a name. So let's say Delta. Okay. Now inside Delta, I'm going to create another directory called, how can I call it? Let me just copy the name. Where is this person? Sam Delta. I'm going to use you as an example. Oh, that sounds bad. So let's create Sam inside here. Let's create Sam. Okay. Okay. Now we have the directory called Delta, and then inside we have Sam. However, Sam cannot be inside Delta. We want Sam to be in a whole new directory. Let's say, for example, we want Sam to be inside users Mbadi, inside a directory called Sami. Okay, so we want Sam to come here. We don't want him here. Desktop Delta Sam. We don't want him here. So if I just separate these screens, let me just do this. So I'll do that. I will open another window. How do I do that? I'll just come down here and say, okay, I can open anything. And then I go to this PC, users. We are looking for Sami. So users, Mbadi, Sami. Okay. So let's just do this and put it here. We'll do that, and we'll do this. All right. So inside Mbadi, inside desktop, inside Delta, we have a directory called Sam. This Sam is not supposed to be here. Sam is supposed to be under users Mbadi Sami. He's supposed to be inside here. So using our command, how do we do that? Okay. So as I said, it's the command that will initiate the move, and then the source, and then the destination of that command. Okay. So here we will get the source, and the source is this one right here. So I'll click here. I'll say right click, copy, and then I'll come here. I'll say now this becomes our source, not what we had previously. So I'll paste it there, and then we have to get the destination. So I'll come here to the destination. I'll copy this, and then I'll paste it here under destination. Okay. And then looks okay. So I'll copy this entire command and then come to the terminal. Did I copy this thing? Copy. And then come to the terminal and then paste the command. So again, we have the command, we have the source. So we are moving this into this. So let's hit enter. and then it says one directory moved. So let's go to file manager and confirm if the directory has been moved. So you'll go to file manager, and then as you can see, sum has been moved from delta to sum. Okay, that is what we wanted. Are we together so far? Anybody lost? All right, so here we are using what we call absolute path, and I've said absolute path is the path from C. Whenever you see something starts with a C here, at least if you're using Windows, if you're using Linux or Mac OS, the command will be a little bit different, but you'll get to that when you get there. But primarily now we're talking about Windows. So if you're using Windows and then you see a command and then you see C, that means this is the absolute path. Okay, but if you don't see C and somebody is trying to perform a command, that is what we call the relative path. So it's relative to where you are at that particular time. So let's cd into this directory here, delta. Of course the directory does not exist, so let's recreate it. We deleted it. So here I'm going to create a directory called delta, and then I'm going to cd into delta so that to activate delta as my working directory. So I'll go into delta, I'll copy this command right here, I'll close that, and then I'll say cd. I want you to change directory into that. Is this relative or absolute path? Whatever command you've used here, is this relative or absolute? Ginob, you're lost. Good. That is exactly where you're supposed to be. Don't worry, just hang in there. Just try to grasp whatever you can. Actually, understanding relative paths and absolute paths is not something you can understand in one sitting. You can actually understand once you play around with it. And I hope I don't forget, at the end of this tutorial, at the end of this session, we are going to come up with an exercise for you guys to perform. All right, so let's hit enter here, and then this becomes our working directory. So let's clear. So inside our working directory, we are going to create another directory called mkdir. We'll call it 8 hours. Okay, and create yet another directory called 8 hours 2. So mkdir 8 hours 2. Okay, so now inside delta, our working directory, we have two directories or two folders. So I'll say dir, and then as you can see, we have these two folders, 8 hours and 8 hours 2. Now I want to create a file and put it inside 8 hours. How do I do that if I'm inside here? Okay, so how to do that? You can use the command to create a file and put a sample text inside. So you'll say echo, and then you want to echo this is a text, and then you want to put this text inside a file called 8 hours .txt. Okay, but remember, if I hit enter, this file will be created inside here, but we want it to be created inside here. Okay, so what do I do? Instead of just saying 8 hours.txt, this is supposed to be 8 hours, I can come here and say I want to create it inside 8 hours 2, and then I'll put that. Okay, 8 hours 2. Oh my goodness, I keep typing B instead of 8. 8 hours 2, and then I'll put that. So let's hit enter and see what happens. Nothing happens, no errors, no nothing. So it means our command has worked. Now pay attention to this. What this does is it creates a file called 8 hours.txt, and the file will be created inside the directory called 8 hours. Now the directory here, as you can see, we are not using C blah 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 blah. This is what we call relative paths, and it's the path where you are right now. It's accessing something where you are from your working directory. Okay, Yeah, I'm trying to find a better way to explain that. Noreen, I'm sorry. There is no easier way to explain relative and absolute paths, but you'll get there. Don't worry. Don't worry. The moment you start practicing, you'll understand all these things. So this is what we call relative path, because we are not using C, we are not using anything. But what if we want to create another file, but instead of using relative path, we are going to use absolute path. So let's find the absolute path for this. So we'll go to our local disk C. Oh my goodness, now where is it? Local disk C, 8 hours. No, it's not here. Let's go back to CMD. We are looking for this delta. So we'll go to desktop. It's under users, body, desktop. No, that is downloads, desktop. And then under desktop, we have this delta. And then we have 8 hours too. So you want to copy the absolute path. So you'll right click, copy. And then now we'll run the same command, but we'll change this text to 8 hours too. And then, okay, let's give it a different name. So let's say file name. Okay. And then instead of using absolute path here, we are going to use, instead of using relative path here, we are going to use absolute path. So I'll go back, delete the relative path, and then paste the absolute path, and then do that. Okay. And then hit enter. And then hit enter. Hit enter. Oh, my enter was not working. So we've pretty much done the same thing. We've created a file, put it inside 8 hours, but we've used two different methods to access whatever directory we want to put our file inside. So we've used relative path here, and here we've used absolute path. Okay. So if I say absolute path, just look for this C. Okay. If you see this C, then followed by a bunch of other directories, then that means this is our absolute path. It's not relative. Relative does not have C in most cases. All right. Any questions? Anybody lost? I see Noreen Mbula is confused. That's okay, Noreen. The moment you type these commands 10 times, it just clicks. You won't even have to struggle understanding these things. So we've talked about relative and absolute paths. We've talked about dot, which, when you do dot, it takes you back. When you do dot, it means where you are. And now we move on and talk about Git. Any questions before I proceed to Git? Noreen, there's a notes version. Is it a notes version? I've written some notes from this class, so you can just go through the notes later if you're feeling confused. The notes are in draft, but I'll finish up before the day ends. Okay, the day has ended. It's already 9. All right. So let's talk about Git. And to talk about Git, we are going to read some code. Okay. So let me just open my VS Code. Oh my goodness, not you. Yeah, no. I'm opening the wrong VS Code. So I'm supposed to open VS Code inside here. So I'll do Visual Studio Code. And to start afresh. So let me create a directory here. Called numpy is too common. Et. So let's say this directory is called et. Let me zoom in. All right. Coco Bobo. Yeah, I will confuse you more. All right. So what I've done so far, I've just created a directory, and I want to write a program. That will do what? Anybody has examples? So let's say we want to create a directory called blue, for example. No, a project called blue. So we've created our project directory, and you're going to open this inside VS Code. So I'll come down here and I'll say VS Code, or I can just type code and open this thing called VS Code. So once opened, I want to open my directory here. So I'll come to the top, I'll say file, open folder, and then I'll go to my desktop. I'll say I want to open this thing called ET. Okay, so inside ET, we are going to write some simple script. So let's start with a readme.md, and then inside readme we are going to say simple program. What will this program do? This program, for example, will try to check the concentration level. Wait, is it concentration level? No. The attention level of a student, okay, when the teacher is teaching, okay? So a simple program to check the attention level of a student. All right. So what do we need? We need student name or student names, and then we need to store attention level, and then we need to calculate what do you do? Tell the teacher, tell teacher to take a break. Yeah, Willy Njuguna, we are now talking about Git. I have started. As a matter of fact, forget about the relative or the absolute path. We'll get to there as we practice. So right now, I want you to pay attention to whatever it is I'm doing, okay? I'm talking about Git, and I'll explain what Git is and how to work with Git, okay? So far what I've done, just to revise, what I've done is I've created my project directory. This project is called ET. This project will track the attention of a student. If the student is a little bit down, we are going to tell the teacher, hey, take a break. If the student's attention is at the peak, we are going to tell the teacher, hey, proceed. Okay. So now I've opened my folder using VS Code. So I just came down here and typed VS Code, or you can just type code. Okay. And then open it. So mine is already open, and I've opened the project inside VS Code. So what I've done, remember I told you, when you're writing any program, you start with a document that explains what the program is about. Okay. So here I've created a document called readme.md. Inside readme.md, I've explained what our project is about. And I've said our project will track the attention level of a student. So we are going to store the student names. We're probably going to store it inside a list. And then we want to store the attention level of the student. And then we want to tell the teacher to take a break if attention level is below 5. If the attention level is below 5, we tell the teacher to take a break. If attention level is above 5, we want to tell the teacher to, it's supposed to be on top here, tell teacher to proceed. Okay. But what if these two conditions are not met? What if these two conditions are not met? We'll look at that in the code. So now I want to create my Python file. So I'll say main.py. And then inside main.py, we are going to write some code. Okay. So let's start with the student names, which is a list. So inside the list, students, we are going to store Aribella. We are going to store, don't suggest for me names, I want to type my own names. Coco Bobo. We are going to store Wasonga. We are going to store Njuguna Willy. We are going to store, of course I'm not going to type everybody. Noreen, I hope you're still with us. Like so. So what have I done? I've stored a list of students, Aribella, Coco, Bobo, Wasonga, Willy, and Noreen. Now next, next we want to store the attention level of these students. So we are going to come copy Arabella, and then here we are going to say Arabella is at attention level 3. We're going to get another student called Coco Bobo. We say the attention level is at 4. Now Noreen, we are going to put Noreen's attention level. What am I doing? Noreen, we will put attention level at 2. I'm sorry, Noreen, I had to use that example. All right, so now let's check the attention level of our students. So we are going to say define. Now, if you were in the previous class where we talked about setting up this AI agent, you must be getting some of these suggestions as you type your code. So you can just ignore them, continue typing your code, or if you want to go with whatever is typed here, you can just click on tab, and then you'll use the code that the AI agent has suggested. Okay, so this is my AI agent trying to help me. So of course it got it all wrong. I'm not going to I'm not trying to grade students. I'm trying to check the attention level. So but what if we put attention level here? So you'll say attention level 1 to 5. Type 1 to 5, attention level 1 to 5. And then down here, no, I actually don't know much JavaScript, some. That is why I'm using Python, but we'll use a lot of JavaScript. So I'll say define attention level, and then we give it the student. And then inside we are saying if attention level is greater than or equal to 4, then we want to print student is attentive, proceed. Okay, so let's see if our code is looking okay. No, don't suggest for me, thank you. I think this AI agent is very aggressive and I do not like that. How do I disable that? My goodness, he's very aggressive. So yeah, I'm going to use Sublime Text. I hope you went through the session where we installed Sublime Text. So now this is where Sublime Text becomes important. So you'll close VS Code, go look for Sublime Text. So you say Sublime. Oh, it's not installed, so let's install it first. Alright, so Sublime Text is installed. Let's open it. Wait, I thought I've already installed you. Why are you not here? So let's see. Oh, it's here. And then I'll click on File, Open Folder. I'll go to my desktop. I'll look for ET, open it. And then now we have our folder opened inside Sublime Text. So let me just zoom in a little bit. So inside Sublime Text, we have stored a list of users: Arabella, Coco Bobo, Wesonga, Willie, and Noreen. And then we've stored attention levels for 3 students. So we've said Arabella is at 3, Coco Bobo is at 4, Noreen is at 2. Noreen is at 2. And then we want to create a function that will check the attention level. If the attention level is 4 and above, then the student is paying attention. We proceed with the class. If the attention level is, say, 3 and below, then the student is not paying attention. We don't proceed with the class. So here we are going to write another if statement, but you're not just going to write if, you're going to write elif. So elif attention level is lower than 3, we are going to say print student student is tired, take a break. But there's one condition not met. What if the student does not fall under this 3? Of course, less than 3 means 3, 2, 1. Okay, but what if there's something else? What if there's like, nothing, we don't know the student, nothing has been provided? We can say else. We want to say print program doesn't understand your program doesn't understand. All right, so this is our code. Okay, this part is going to get easy, by the way. This is the easy part. This is the good part. So we've written our code locally. We've stored it inside a file. So if I close this, our code is inside here. Okay, this is everything we've done. Now imagine you're building a website, and remember I said a real world application would have thousands of lines of code. So remember, you've written thousands of lines of code, 10,000, 100,000, and then your computer has crashed, so you need to replace your hard drive. Okay, so that means you've lost everything. Okay, not only that, imagine if somebody, God forbid, somebody stole your laptop and you had your project in there. That would mean you've lost everything. Okay, you don't have your project, there's no way to restore it, not unless you take this, you copy it inside a file, you copy it inside a flash drive and give it to your friend to keep it for you. But again, if you gave your friend your project while you had written, let me just open VS Code again. So imagine you gave your friend your backup. Oh my goodness, I did not save my Sublime text work. Now you see what I'm talking about? So let's open Sublime Text and hope, oh, everything is there. So in Sublime Text, I have to come here and say save. Okay, so imagine you've written all these lines of code. You want to create a backup. So you take the files, which is also known as the source code. You take the files, you give it to your friend, or you share it on WhatsApp, tell them, hey, keep this for me. Now, of course, you continue improving your program. Okay, you continue improving your program. So right here, for example, you say, I want to change this. Instead of saying less than 3, I want to say equal to or less than 3. Of course, you can of course type bugs in there. As you can see, this is already telling us this is wrong. But anyway, just follow through with me. Or you might want to come and say, instead of Norin here, you want to change that to Wesonga. So you take Wesonga and then you put there. So the files that you gave to your friend, they do not have these changes. So that means if you're building an application, the application will not have your most recent changes or your most recent features. Okay, so taking the files, copying it onto a flash drive, giving your friend, that is not the way engineers do it. Okay, so how do we do it? We introduce a tool called Git, and Git is just a tool you install locally on your computer, and then you can use it to create versions of your code. So let's have a look at how to install Git. So I'm going to go to the browser. I'll go through the AI agent towards the end of the session. Yeah, Mwas, the AI agent can be, yeah. So let's download Git. So you're going to go to the browser and type Git. Hit enter. The very first link here, we're going to click on it. And then on this page, you're going to click on install for Windows. And then you are going to look for something called setup. So I'll just go through up to this. I'll click on it. And then it will download this thing. So we'll give it a second to download. It's taking its sweet time. Okay. Desmond, I'm not sure. I think it looks okay on my end. Is anybody having any issues with the stream? All right, so Git is downloaded. So let's go ahead and install it. So I'm going to click on this icon right here, and then I'll double click on this. I'll say yes. Where has it gone to? Oh, okay. I think it's here. So I'll click next, 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 next again, next. Oh my goodness, next, 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 next. Okay. Yeah. So you'll just click next, next, next until the end. Of course, it's installing, and here you can see the absolute path where it's installing the software. Do you see this? This is the absolute path where it's installing the software. Noreen, how are you doing? Are we together? Desmond, if you're watching this on YouTube, of course you're watching this on YouTube. There's the gear icon near the bottom right corner. You can click on it and then change from, if it says 360 or 480, change it to 720 or 1080. It might be, the quality might be better. So, Git is done installing. We don't want to read the notes, so you'll say finish. And then that's it. So, once Git is installed, okay, there's no window, there's no icon on the desktop, there's nothing. But if you come here, you can see Git bash, okay? And if you type Git, you can see we only have Git, GUI, these other applications that we downloaded. So we can try and open it. And then once you open it, you see this thing here, okay? So it has options: create new repo, we don't want to do that, quit, and so on and so forth. So when you download software on your computer, like I've said when I started, you can open the software or you can work with the software using the icons you see on your desktop or using the terminal. Git is one of those applications which fall under the category called CLIs. CLIs mean command line interface, okay? There are applications that do not have, like you don't work with them here, like clicking icons and whatnot, dragging buttons and whatnot. You only work with them using CMD, okay? And that is why it was important for us to learn about CMD and parts. So how do we work with Git? If you open your CMD, right now and type something like Git, it gives you a bunch of information, but nothing really important. So what you see here, okay, it's everything important. So I take back my words. So what you see here is what we call the documentation. In short, it's how you work with Git. And how you work with Git is you type a command that Git understands, and then you type you can call it parameters or options or whatnot, but you look at that in a second. So we want to tell Git, now that we've installed Git and we've said Git creates versions of our code, we want to see how they can blend together. How can we connect Git that we've installed with the project that we are working on? Now to do that, we need to find the absolute path of our project. So I'll go to File Manager. Let me just go to Desktop. And then inside Desktop, I'm going to go to inside File Manager. I'll go to Desktop. And then I'll go to ET. And then this is the absolute path of our project. So at the top, I will click here and copy, and then go back to CMD, and then do CD, and then I'll paste the path, and then I'll hit enter. So as you can see, our working directory now is ET. Okay, now inside the working directory, we are going to connect Git and our project. How do you connect Git and your project? You type the command called git init, and then just like that, git init, don't do anything else. So we'll hit enter. Let me zoom in, and Git is telling us that Git has initialized an empty Git repository at c-users desktop et.git. So if we open our project again, I installed Git by mistake when I was trying to flash a boot image last year. I didn't know anything about it. Yeah, now is your time. Will in Njuguna, we'll get to there. Yeah, once VS Code automates all this, but as a beginner, it's important you understand, what goes on under the hood. Ziwa Kenyans, I think you might want to increase your video quality. So if you go to our project, as you can see, there is a folder here that has been created. Okay, this folder was not here before, but once we typed git init, it was created. Let's go ahead and delete this folder. So we're going to delete this. We'll delete it, and then we type the same command again. Okay, so as you can see, there's nothing here. In fact, let me just put it on the side, and then put this on the side, like so. Like so. So our project so far has only two files, main.py and readme.md. But immediately we run git init, we can see there's a file called .git created. Okay, not a file, a folder called .git created here. Okay, now what we've done so far, we've only initialized our project with Git. We've told Git this is our project, but we've not created any version of our code. Now, to create a version of your code, you have to type several commands. Is it 2 or 3? I think it's 3 commands. So number 1, we are going to say git add, and then period. Period means right here where I am. We hit enter, and then you say git commit, and then we give it a name, first version. Okay, and then we hit enter. Okay, so every version that you create on your computer, it has to have the identity information. Who is this person creating the file? Okay, so as you can see, when I typed git commit here, it asks me, please tell me who you are. Run git config that to set blah 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 blah, unable to auto detect email address blah blah. So let's try and set all this information. So what you're going to do, we are going to copy this command right here. We copy it and then we paste it here, but we change the email to ours. So in my case, I'm going to use my work email called info.somastories, info@somastories.app, and hit enter, and then we run this second command. We just copy it and paste it here and say the name is Soma Stories. We hit enter, and now of course when you get no response, it means your code, your command worked. So you do CLS to clear our screen, and then here we are going to type the git commit command again. So you'll do git commit, and as you can see, 2 files changed, 24 insertions, create mode, blah blah, main.py, readme.md. So how do you work with Git? I've said you can break it down into simple steps. I think I need to pull up the other notes. So to work with Git, number 1, you have to download you have to download Git and install it. After you've downloaded Git and installed it, you learn the Git commands, and the Git commands is what you've already typed. And once you understand the commands, you can do add Git to your project, which you've done with Git init, and we can create the first version of our code. So all this can be broken down into this. Git init, while you're inside the project, Git init, Git add, period, Git commit, and then you give your commit a name. Commit is now creating the actual version. So we can say version 1, we hit enter, okay, and then we can do Git push. So what Git push does, it takes your project from your local machine and then it stores it somewhere in the cloud. But for now, before we get to that, we can just do the first 3 commands, okay? So these ones right here. Now let's try to create another version of our project. So we will first make changes to our project. So we are going to go into our project inside here, and then we will add something at the bottom, okay, and say print this is version 2, and then we come here, we save our code. So if you're working with Sublime Text, you have to save your code every time you make changes. Excuse me. Yeah, creating SSH key is very important, but we will talk about that in the next class. If I do talk about that right now, I think I'll lose a lot of people. So we'll do that in the next class. So we've made changes to our code. Now we need to tell Git to create a version 2 of our code. So we'll go to the terminal, okay? And now you don't do Git init. After you've done Git init, you don't have to do it again. So you'll do Git add, period, to say add everything. We hit enter, and then we say Git commit, and then we say version 2, and then we hit enter. So of course it tells you that one file has changed. We have had 5 insertions and 3 deletions. I don't know what these deletions are because I've not deleted anything. Have I? No? Okay. So you can do that and continue to make as many changes as you want. Assuming you want to find out, we want to create a function that will check if a certain student is in the list. So we can come here and create that function. Say define find student, and then we'll give it the student name, and then we'll say for student, or we can say for person in students, okay, if that person is the student we are trying to look for, student name, we want to print student found. Okay, so this is just a function that checks if a student is found. Now of course our code will not run because we've not called this function. So down here I'm going to call the function. I'm going to say find student, and then I'm going to pass in a student name. Let's say we're going to pass in Coco Bobo. Okay, so let's just put a space here. So we've added some changes to our code, but you do not have a version for this code yet. How do you create a version? We go to CMD, we say git add, we say git commit, and then we give it a message for this version. So M here is the message, commit here is the action, git is the tool that you're trying to invoke. So let's say for example we want to give this a name version 3. We hit enter. On branch master, oh, I have not saved. So as you can see, Git is detecting that you've not saved your work. So I'll go back here and I'll say save. Okay, and I'll come back and type the same command. So git add, period, git init, sorry, not git init, my goodness, git commit, and then I'll give it a name, version 3. I'll hit enter. So again, it detects that one file has changed and I've had 9 insertions into that file. Let's go through the entire thing again from scratch. Remember when I said if you are in the confusion phase of your learning, you need to try and practice as much as possible. So as you practice, that leads you into pattern identification, identifying patterns, okay? And then once you identify patterns, you now become the master, okay? You understand these things. So let's do everything from scratch, okay? So if you're lost, if you don't know what you're doing, just pay attention to what I'm doing and then see if you identify the patterns. So I'll close everything. I'll close even our notes. And then here I'm going to create a project. I'm going to create this project called Robbie. Okay. Now I'll open this project in VS Code. VS Code is very aggressive with their AI suggestion. So I'm just going to use Sublime Text. So I'll go down here. I'll open Sublime Text. And then I don't want the current project. I want a new project. So I'll go to File. I'll say what? Open folder. And then I'll go to desktop. I'll open this folder called Robbie. I'll open it. Okay. So now my folder is active. So I want to close this one. I don't need it anymore. This is our old project. So now I'm inside my new project. Number one, we start with a documentation file. So I'll go to File, New File, and then I'll say Meal Suggester app. So we need to store day of the week, food for that day, and then function to show us food. Okay. So once that is done, if you're using Sublime Text will allow you to create the content first before saving the file. So if I go to save, it will ask me what I want to name this file. So I'll go to save. I'll say this is readme.md. I'll confirm that it's inside Robbie here, and then I'll say save. Okay. So once that is done, now we move to the actual code. I'll go to File, New File, and then under New File, I'm going to type some code. So I'm going to say Monday, we want to eat ugali. Tuesday, we want to eat mushrooms. The good stuff, the good mushrooms. And then here, I want to store the day of the week. Day of the week. And then you say day of the week is Monday. Okay. And then down here, I'm going to create a function, define suggester, meal suggester or whatever, which will take in day of the week. Let me just copy this here. It will take in day of the week. Okay. And then it will return. We have a condition here. If day of the week, oh my goodness, what am I doing? If day of the week equals to Monday, we want to print, we want to say it's Monday, you can have, and then we print the actual food that the person will eat on Monday, which is ugali. So we can have, oh, this is supposed to be food 1, food 2, like so. So you can just capture this and say eat food 1. Okay, let's add more items here, but first let's save our code. So Control S, and then I'll say this is supposed to be main.py. So we can type main.py, confirm that it's inside Robbie, and then save. This is supposed to be 2 equal signs. Does everything look okay? And then we call our function. So you'll say suggester, and then you pass in what? Let's pass in Monday. Okay, And this Monday here, if you've noticed, this is supposed to be a string. So we'll say this is also a string. This is actually a very dirty code, but just pay attention to how we version it. So now, how do you version your code? Let's just make sure you've saved everything. How do you version your code? Number one, you have to tell Git, you have to connect Git with your project. How do you do that? You need to understand the Git command to do that. The Git command to do that is git init. And for you to use git init, you need the project folder or the project directory. So let's try and look for the project directory, and you're going to look for it using the absolute path. So we'll go to file manager. I'll just minimize this. I'll go to this PC. And then inside this PC, I'm going to go to local disk C. I'll go to users. I'll go to Mbadi desktop. I'll go to Robbie. And then I'll copy the absolute path. So right here, I'll copy it. And then I'll go to CMD. Let me just close this. I'll go to CMD. What did I type? Oh my goodness. I'm opening things I don't know. I'll go to CMD. And then inside CMD, let me just minimize, zoom in. Inside CMD, I'm going to change our working directory from the home directory. Remember home and working? From the home directory to the working directory. So I'll do CD. I'll paste the directory. I'll hit enter. Excuse me. And now we are inside our project, our working directory right here. So I'll do git init. Okay, it tells me initialize empty git repository, and then I'll do git add period, and then I'll do git commit, and then I'll say first version. Okay, say first version 1. I'll hit enter. Now if you've noticed, previously when we ran this command, Git told us, hey, I do not know who you are, give me your email and password. But right now it's not asking us for that information. Okay, it already has that information stored. So we've created the first version of our code. What if we want to create a second version? So we can come here and make some changes. So we've called that function okay. We can print that the program is running. So we'll say print, and then we say program. Is that how program is written? Program is running. And then we'll save our work. We'll come here, say say save all. And then inside Git, inside the project directory, we're going to say git add. So remember, we are not doing git init anymore. Git has already been connected. We use git init to connect. So once Git has been connected, we type git add, we hit enter, and then we do git commit. And then we pass in the message, this is version 2. Okay, we hit enter, and then if you scroll down, as you can see, one file has changed, 4 insertions have been added. That is Git, by the way. That's Git. That's Git. So, however, all our changes are local. No change has been saved in the cloud. So after versioning our code, we need to find a way to store our code in the cloud. Okay, and there is another website called GitHub which handles that for you. So what you do is GitHub becomes like your container to contain your code. So what you do locally is you can create your project, save it or version it or commit commit your project, and then you push your project to GitHub. Okay, and then GitHub is, like a central location where you will store your code. Of course, I'm not going to jump into GitHub for this session. I realize that whatever we've covered has already been quite heavy. But just know, after you're done locally with your changes, you can save your changes and then send them to a certain website called GitHub. And from this website, anybody can access your project. So if you want to, for example, access some of the projects I've worked on, let me just show you. I'll go to my profile, see more. So I've worked on a couple of projects, like for example, this Lendy here. Actually, I worked on this a very long time ago. When was it? 10 months ago. My goodness. So there's this project called Lendy I worked on. And as you can see, it shows you the language that was used. So this is Python mainly. And then, you have all this other information inside. You can look at other projects like, for example, this Soma mobile client. Actually, this is the source code that powers Story App. So if you've downloaded Story App, this is the source code that powers it. So as you can see, we are using Dart programming language. We have some C++, some little bit of Python, CMake, and Shell. And this is everything about that project. So what GitHub does, it's like Facebook, but for developers. So you write your project locally, you use Git locally to version your code, and then you take that code, you save it, to this website. So from this website, other people can download your code and work with it on, work on changes, improvements, and whatnot, in a collaborative way. So we look at this in more detail in the second class, including how to set it up, how to tell Git on your computer to know which account is yours on GitHub. But for now, I think we'll just leave it at that. Any questions? Gaty, I don't think yeah, I don't think we should cover that in this class. All right, so yeah, today has been heavy. It has been more of working with CMD, and I do encourage you to play around with CMD to create files. Try to get files. If you get stuck, post in the help channel. The problem with you guys is when you go through such a class, I see quite a number of you saying you're lost. However, when I give out exercises for you to practice, or I ask you to post wherever you're stuck on the help channel, nobody's posting. So because the thing with computer science is, if you do miss anything right now, if you do miss a concept I've taught, and we get to the next class and you still do not understand something from the previous class, it's going to be very difficult for you. Like I know for a fact, some of you have been very confused working with CMD, and it's because you did not do the exercises from the first two classes, and you did not post on the help channel if you were stuck. So now when I'm doing here things like CD, dab, when I'm doing mkdir, you get confused. You are thinking, okay, so what is mkdir? Okay, what is working directory? What is home directory? It's because you missed these concepts in the previous classes and you've not mentioned in the help channel where you are stuck or the concept you do not understand. Okay, like right now I've talked about installing Git, downloading and installing Git. I've talked about running Git init. I've talked about Git commit. I've talked about Git add, and so on and so forth. If you miss any of this, if you miss any of those commands I've given you, it will become very difficult for you to understand how people collaborate on projects, because you're going to type a lot of Git commit, Git add, Git blah blah, Git blah blah. So if you've missed something here and you don't post in the help channel, and in the next class you say, I'm lost, or I don't know what is happening, and you're lost because you do not know something that was taught in the previous class, now that becomes, sort of unfair, or, it's not nice. Okay. So everything we've talked about in this class, go through the entire video. Try to type whatever I've typed. If you type something wrong and you don't know how to correct it, paste in the help channel, say I've typed this, I've been stuck, how should I proceed? Okay, so that by the time we get to the GitHub section, creating your project and collaborating, you already understand Git. You already know how to install Git. You already know how to create a project. You already know how to create versions of your code, so that when we get to the next class, we move together. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it for this session. Thank you if you've stuck around to the very end. I know it's been very challenging, but that is how tech is. By then, nobody goes through the first session getting everything. The people you see typing things in the chats, trying to help you with, your questions, this is not the first video they are watching about Git. This is not the first article. This is not the first information they are getting about Git. This is probably the 5th time they are watching a video on Git. So if you're watching this for the first time and you're confused and you see people answering questions in the chat saying, hey, this is CMD, this is what, don't compare yourself. Don't get scared. They are watching this for the 5th time. You're watching it for the first time. So it's totally okay for you to get lost, to not get what you're doing here. So go through the video again and try to type whatever it is I'm saying, and then try to see, are you stuck? Go back, see exactly what I did. If I was in a different directory and I typed something and you type it and it doesn't work as it has worked on my end, then try to find out, are we in the same directory? Okay, things like that. Yep. I'll see you in the next one. I hope you're having fun. Bye.